As a quick note before we get into it, I would really appreciate if you would leave a comment below and kind of let me know what some more subjects would be that you'd be interested in hearing about, because I have a lot that I'm interested in talking about, but I've done that with my last two videos and that hasn't turned out very well. So I'm really interested in what you have to say about what content you'd like me to bring to you. So without further ado, let's get into the video. DP Review recently had the opportunity to have an interview with the CEO of Sigma, and he seems just like a fantastic, open, genuine guy. Someone that I am pretty sure that you and I both would really enjoy getting to meet. And he had a lot of really cool things to say about Sigma as a brand. Like the 14mm f1.8, he's saying no one else is making this, and customers want this, and so we'll make it. And listening to the consumer like that, I feel like is something that major first-party manufacturers are not doing. As a third-party lens manufacturer, it's actually giving consumers what we want, and I think that's fantastic. That attitude makes me believe that I can trust them and that they are going to try to make lenses that I will want to work with. The CEO of Sigma, Kazuto Yamaki, is really into these wide-angle lenses, and he thinks that despite having the 12-24 and this 14 f1.8, Sigma's not doing enough in the wide-angle department, and so I'm really excited to see what more wide-angle lenses Sigma's going to be coming out with in the upcoming years. When asked what they've learned from making the Art Series lenses, Mr. Yamaki was saying that they really do want to make the lenses that aren't on the market yet. And I feel like they are in a lot of ways, because even if you look at the 35 and the 50 and the 85 and the soon-to-be 135, those lenses don't exist as good as that at that aperture, at that focal length, apart from those lenses, those Art Series lenses. And I think that's fantastic. I think that's really killer from a brand reputation standpoint. When asked if Sigma would be making native E-mount lenses, Mr. Yamaki said quite explicitly that yes, those are in the works. The MC11 is a great adapter, but yes, native E-mount lenses are in the works. One of the interesting things to note is that he was saying that it takes 2 to 3 years to really develop a lens. And so these lenses that we're seeing come out now have been in the works for 2 or 3 years. And my major question is when the E-mount comes out for Sigma Art lenses, Sigma Contemporary, Sigma Sport lenses, will you be able to use their mount swap service to get an E-mount, say, on any lens before they started releasing lenses with E-mounts? And what they might just do is re-release all of them with an E-mount, but that lens conversion service might be one of the primary ways to get that early if they choose to release the mount earlier than a specific lens with that mount. One of the questions that I really liked was, so these really high quality Art Series lenses have been around for about 5 years now. You know, what's next? Are you happy? What are you most proud of? And what Mr. Yamaki is saying is, no. I think we have so much further to go, and I'm really excited by that because I am super biased towards Sigma, but I really think that they're revolutionizing the lens industry, because they're saying they're turning over the way that typical first-party manufacturers are looking at these lenses. There aren't people outside of Sigma making an f1.8 zoom for an APS-C sensor camera. I think that's just fantastic. I think if they keep doing what they're doing, I'm only gonna just keep giving them money because it's fantastic. And probably said that word way too much, but I'm really enthusiastic about Sigma. So when asked what the most complex lens to bring to market was, Mr. Yamaki was mentioning the 12-24. And that kind of leads into the 14 because they both require very large aspherical elements, or aspherical, whichever you prefer, elements, and they literally had to make the machine to make the mold for these lenses. And I think that's a lot of fun that they're investing so heavily in themselves and in the quality that they're really just desperate to bring to that market and passionate about bringing to this market that we all care about if you're watching this probably. So I think that's really cool because I wouldn't have thought, that would take so much extra care and attention, but just that one element can mean so much. And in one of the other comments that he was making, Mr. Yamaki was noting that like they've eliminated a lot of older cheap lenses from their lineup, and what they've actually done by reducing the SKU count, if you will, is increase production or the process, because a lot of those cheaper lenses will have fewer elements in fewer groups, and these better lenses will have more elements in more groups, which makes a lot of sense. And it's also kind of funny because I never had thought about it, taking way more glass and way more metal to make metal in like the machines to make all this stuff, manufacturing process, to make these higher caliber lenses. And I'd kind of had this idea in my head that a lot of really high-end lenses were handmade. And I think a lot are, Leica, absolutely. I know Canon, Nikon use factories in Japan where they use human beings to put lenses together, but not all of the elements are like ground by hand, and I thought that was really cool. One of the kind of final note that Mr. Yamaki had, or rather the DP review had that Mr. Yamaki replied to, was their cine zoom lenses and cine lenses in general. And what they've really effectively done is kind of port their SLR lenses into cine lenses. And what's really remarkable to me is something like the 18 to 35 f1.8 becomes the 18 to 35 t2.0. So you're losing a third of a stop of light between the SLR version, and like not even losing, like just between the f stop and the t stop, and it's constant through that. Like, what? That's incredible. That's incredible to me. And the 50 to 100 as well. And they've come out with a lot of their primes for full frame that are, exceptional in terms of light transmission, in terms of like the T-stop light transmission, not the f-stop light transmission, which is also fantastic. And that's just like, if they weren't so darn expensive, I'd totally get on that boat too, because, them sexy. But for now, I really like autofocus because I'm spending a lot of time in front of the camera and not as much quite behind it. So I need to make sure that the autofocus works. But I just love hearing about a company from the inside, a company that I'm interested in and whose products I'm interested in, and a company that I see as adding value to my experience in the process of doing something that I love and that I'm passionate about. I love getting that window in and seeing that they're just as passionate and just as excited and just as hungry for more and better, because that almost makes me feel like we're kind of moving in that same direction together. And like I've been saying this whole time, I'm super biased, but that's why this kind of whole thing is why I believe is kind of the way forward with lenses. So thank you very much for your time and for your attention. Please don't hesitate to like this video. Smashing that like button does a whole lot of good for me. I'd love to start a conversation on what you think about Sigma as a brand in comparison to the first-party manufacturers or other third-party manufacturers like Tamron, since I've never owned, used, touched a Tamron in particular. But I'm sure there are others that you probably have experience with that I don't. So let's start a conversation in the comments. I'm really looking forward to hearing from y'all. And please don't hesitate to subscribe. It means a lot to me. So thank you very much for your time and for your attention, and I'll see you in the next one.